Well, there we go. Whoops, that was the wrong button, wasn't it? But hey, there we go anyway. There we go. Hi, good evening, good afternoon. I'm doing one of those spontaneous 3D streams, and I thought I'd say hello. I've been working today, so it's a little bit of a push for me, bit late, but hey, uh, I thought I'll do it anyway. I've got some stuff to do, and we've just seen the version, what was it again? Version 2 that I'm trying to improve upon, and we have indeed started doing that. I've got version 3 already in the can on a little animatic. I just forgot where I saved that, so I'm just gonna have to go to my other YouTube channel, which is also called 3D Shenanigans, by the way, and I've uploaded it there. Let me just go if we can see if we can watch that together to get a bit of an overview of where we are right now and what I'd like to improve upon there. That's that, and that's that. That looks good. Let's do it. There we go. Whoop. So animatic means it's a really low resolution preview render, just so that I get an overview of what it looks like if I were to render it at a higher resolution. And this is not high resolution, of course, and also not 60 frames a second. But it is much better in regards to shadows than the previous version. Let me just go step through this and let me show you what I'd like to improve upon there today. So on the outside, very nicely, Dreamlab has sent me a nice HDRI I can use from downtown LA, and that will be the background here. I've looked at the HDRI, I haven't put it in yet, so that's what I'd like to try. Let's see what that does to the outside lighting. Then slightly further going forward, these posters out here, they are, I guess, glass display cases. So I'm going to see if I can go and improve that. Speaking of glass, there's also something, if we move closer here, that this little booth here, that is probably a glass material. So I want to try and turn that into glass as well. That may need a small light, just a point light here, so that there's something in there. I would imagine there's an interior. I haven't checked that yet. But yeah, those things need changing. I'll see if I can do that tonight. Then the outside thing here, I botched that up last time during the stream, but Christina was very kind and made a very detailed video about what she did and how to improve that. So I'm going to take care of that today. So she rebuilt the whole pattern on the background and put proper text on it. And that's something I'm going to have a play with today and see if I can, put that in, perhaps maybe even map the whole Photoshop file. The interior here is fine so far. I did like the lighting effects. It takes forever to render, however, so it does take a long time to do that. But I thought I'm going to kick something off overnight so that I have some larger renders tomorrow to have a look at. I found one texture, namely here. We put these light strips in here last time, so that's kind of nice. I found one more texture that doesn't read JPlays, that just reads now showing Wisp of Reason or something. So I want to improve that. I'd like to change that so that it also reads whatever's playing in the cinema here. And then the interior here I'm going to leave as it is. So that's that's fine. I'm going to leave everything here as it is. That could perhaps be a little bit darker, but I may just do that in post-production rather than fiddle with the lights here. So that's the plan for today. I also have plans to replace this video here, that for the JPlays title sequence this is good, but I may actually make another one that just shows something along the lines of 3D Shenanigans right in here, and that'll be a nice title sequence for that. So I can use the whole Blender file that we've set up here and see if we can just put the countdown clock and then just the city fly through of the 3D Shenanigans in here. Something like that. There might be just a different version of it. So that's something I'm planning for down the line at some point. Righty then, let's have a look what we can do and how we can do it. I'm using a relatively special version of Blender 2.8. That's this one here. Actually, let me bring on my little cursor highlight so then you can see better what I'm pointing at here. There. Nice. So I'm using, it is the version Blender 2.8 I'm using, but it's kind of a special build that has RTX features. And I like the sound of that because it supports the optics prime acceleration. And that's by default, that's not part of Blender 2.8. So just to show you where that is, it's under Edit Preferences, and then under System, I have CUDA and OpenCL and none, and also have optics, and that just improves render times just a little bit. So that's kind of nice. So I'm using that. Let me open my file, which was Cinema 10. I've saved that out as 2 versions because then my other 2 computers, I had to go at rendering that on my other 2 computers, but because it's over the network, I only have RDP access, I needed dedicated files that say GPU and CPU, otherwise I don't know how to set that on the command line. I'm not sure if that's actually supported. So there we go. That's that. That's our file. And perhaps we'll start with the exterior and just put that correct file in there that Christina kindly gave me. So I'm already in edit mode. That's cool. And it is actually selecting the correct thing here. That's cool. That's good. So let me see if I remember how to do that. I think it's on. Is it under shading? Yes, it's under shading that I can access that material. That's kind of nice. Thinking of rejigging that workspace here, I do like having a shaded and an unshaded version of the viewport, so I might bring one in. I'll see if I do that. That is this picture here. I'd also like to have something like an image editor so that I can actually see what's going down here. I don't know if that's one of the other rendering options, just so that I can see the textures here, like a texture shaded view. That is something that would be nice without looking at the rendered view, but I have no idea how to do that. So I know. Oh, there we go. That's actually what I was looking for. Perfect. Thank you, Blender. That was that wasn't difficult. So this is the botched up version that I used last time, and you can see that the pattern isn't perfect, and it's just I literally just put some kind of text on there, and that looked very nice. But Christina did an awesome job. I'll show you this in Photoshop actually. That is here. Before we put that in, I transferred that over to my folder. I'll just call it Cinema here. And was it in textures? I believe so. Yes, this is it. This is it. There. So that now has literally all the trimmings in there. It's got a neon glow and literally everything. And I wanted to have a quick, so that's all courtesy of Christina. So thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that. It looks better than the original, I think. And I'm gonna go and yeah, look at that. This is the neon type version. I do like that. And this is more like a plain version. And both of them together kind of, well, they really kind of make it here for me. I really like that. I might just leave both of them on. I mean, I do like this. I do also like the contrast that this brings, but I may have a little play with the stroke pattern around here. Let's just have a look how I can do that. There's drop shadow, bevel, and emboss. I think that was on the neon version. Is that right? Yes, there we go. That stroke pattern here. Let's have a look. There's just so many cool things you can do with that. Was it the stroke? Was it the glow? Yeah, it's essentially the contour profile here. So that makes all kinds of weird and wonderful patterns there in the skilled hands of a professional, not so much when I do it. But hey. Unbelievable, isn't it? It's just, oh, don't worry about it, Christina. You've been busy with other things, so hey, thanks for joining anyway. Very nice. There's just so much cool stuff that you can do with it. I just forgot which layer, which effect it is that I need to tweak here. It wasn't a shadow, was it? Maybe it is a shadow. I thought it was a stroke. Stroke. There we go. Maybe it's not the stroke. Inner glow. Yeah, let me have a look at inner glow. I don't see much of a difference when I oh, there we go. Oh, it's the now showing, right? I was looking at the bottom here. Right, cool. Yes, that's just I don't really know which one I'm gonna use for that. Perhaps I will actually just leave it plain and just use both text versions on top of one another, and then perhaps take this group here and just go take the opacity down a bit. It's also it doesn't look as awesome as I thought it was going to be. Contours, that's right. I think you call them contours. Yeah. There we go. That's the one I wanted to knock down a little so that we have a little more of the bottom layer bleeding through there. Yeah, make that 100% again. Because it has that nice little neon kind of thing to it. Because if I switch that off, then I like that, but I also like having that, you know, that neon glow on there. So I think I'm just going to use it like this. Yeah, I'm going to use it like that. Let's go save the whole Photoshop file. And then just in here, back in Blender, I'm going to replace this texture now with the actual PNG file. So that's nice that Photoshop, that Blender actually understands Photoshop files. Use file from current directory. Isn't this the open file dialog? Unpack item. That's not what I wanted. Is this not how that works? Is this not the? It's the unpack file dialog. Okay, let's just use the current directory. Oh, there we go. And now I can open it. I will worry about that a little later about repacking the file. Cinema, that's it. And in textures, there's that file. Oh yeah, do restart him. Absolutely, do restart him. They don't like being left on their own devices for too long there. There we go. We've got that. We've got that sorted. That's that. And I think we also need to do that on the other side here. Let's go back into edit mode, and since I've just put that file in, it should be as easy as just selecting. Yeah, perfect. And it is as well. There we go. Now we've got that on both sides. So that's already one item off the agenda. I do like that. That's very nice. I do like that. While we're here in this scene, I'm going to go and have a quick look at the materials for these objects here. So I don't think I've played with those last time. That is the glass indeed. That's perfect. So let's go and add a material from the material library to it. If I could only remember. Invisible, no, that's not it. It's got to be glass. I would imagine I have glass already in here. And that was, I believe, how I add that. Is that it? The ball, apply. Yeah, there we go. Let's try that out. Okay, cool. That doesn't give me an absolutely accurate preview right now. So I may just have to quickly go and see what this looks like rendered, just so that I know, there's something behind it, which I currently can't tell. Yes, there is. Okay, that's good. So all we needed then was a bit of glass in the front there. Ideally, I guess the thing behind there would also be a light emitting surface. So I may do that in a moment, but let's just go and put glass onto all of these things here while we're at it. Glass poster front left, that's perfect. I'm going to turn that into glass too. This is going to be glass. You'd imagine this is now right sign. Okay, so this is not defined as a separate surface here. Is that right? Front, could that be it? It could be the front. Front signage, that's the signage. Brown is all that. Front is all that, yeah, so it's just defined as a front rather than a glass type material. So that means I'm gonna have to do this myself. If only I knew how to do that. That could be interesting. So I'm gonna have to define that as a material group as such. I think I do that. Add material slot, yes, from the selection. So I'm gonna call that what do you call this thing? Is this the ticket inspector type thing? What do you call it? The little cabinet, like the little cabin's good. Let's just ticket cabin. There we go. Ticket office, that's the one, exactly. Ticket office. Ticket office. Ticket office glass, there we go. There, that should be it. So we've defined that material slot. Now I'm gonna assign that some glass. There we go. That looks very snazzy. Let's go and see what that looks like rendered. That's hopefully where we're gonna find out it looks kind of all right. Yes, look at that, perfect. I can see that this is going to become a nice little, just a glass cut out there. In an ideal world, I guess we put a person behind there who's looking bored. But you know, I'll leave that for another time. I think the only other thing I would do in here is just put a small point light in there. Let me do that once we're done. So that's glass, that's perfect. These things here also need to become glass. Glass thing, yeah, that's that. There's also glass thing. It probably is. There's probably a more efficient way of doing this. I totally agree, but I just don't know how to do it. And sometimes you just want to get on with things, don't you? So now that we've got the glass on the front of these things, there's probably also like the poster at the back there, which is this thing here. Oh, look at that. That's what the glass shader looks like. Fresnel, transparent, mix shader, glossy, amazing stuff. So it's this thing behind the poster backing front posters. Let me go and select that. No, that's not it. Neon front posters, is this it? No, poster front posters, backing front posters. So ideally, I would imagine in a real cinema environment, there's a light box behind these things. So I just like to select the thing behind it, and that's not easy if there's no material behind it. But there has to be, because this is this object here. Don't worry, Christina, that's all cool. as I said, I was going to do these things anyway, and you know, if you're here, that's really nice. I'm just trying to, this is a kind of a puzzle for you. So I've got this object here, and I've got the front, which is now glass. I've made that on all these four things here, on all the posters. So, but behind it is the actual movie poster, and I can see it's in here, but it looks like no matter which item I select here, it doesn't want to. Oh, there it is. No, this is the frame here. I'm trying to select the surface that is behind another surface, and I'm not entirely sure how to do that in Blender. So I'm just going to work my way through here. If this is not it, backing front posters, is this it? No. Sign front posters, that's also not it. Poster front posters, I've got that. That's my glass. Then there's the neon front posters. No. I may actually have selected the wrong. Ah, that's a good idea. Wireframe mode. How do I do that again? It's like this, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. Very good. Oh, thank you. Wireframe mode. That's a very good idea. How do you do that in 2.8? Is it X still? Is that how you do it? Or is it Z? Oh, there we go. Z. Right. Okay, that's how they do that. Right. So I may have actually done a mistake then here. The poster front posters, that I may have accidentally turned that into glass, and I meant to turn the glass thing into glass. So I may have done something that I will later regret. Let me see if I can undo some stuff so that this is no longer the glass shader. I think I've actually taken that away. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Let me go back. Undo history. Ah, undo history. How do I do that? I just press Control Z so many times. Undo history. All right. Oh my God. Move and attach. Select box. Select box. Select. But you know, I think select material slot. That's just me testing things. So I'm going to go to the very end and see if what happened there. Takes a second, of course. Yeah, I think I'm already past that. That's a shame. So I've still got that poster thing selected here. On that. Right. I think that might be a nice idea. I should just do that right now. Undo history. Is that under system? Probably undo steps. Yeah, let's do that. Let's put that to 99. Good tip. And is 99 the highest you can set there? So let me just try it out. Let me just see what happens if I put 200. I wonder how Blender handles that. If 99 is a good idea to set that, or is this going to break my system? It's probably eating up a lot of RAM then. Maybe I'll leave it at 99. Let me do that. It's in the cache, right. 99 it is. Let's do that. So, but I can probably just bring that shader back. So look def is what I want. Yeah, there we go. Yes, I can see now that I've totally set up the wrong shader in here. That's the glass. Let's set that to glass. And then the posters here. Oh, how interesting. I want that to be glass, and that doesn't actually update to the glass. Interesting. Did I make that mistake on the other ones as well? I hope not. Well, let me see what it looks like rendered, so I get a bit of an impression of what this is going to look like now. I mean, this is the fourth window on the right. We may not actually see that. If it looks a little bit wonky, it probably doesn't matter all that much. Because we see it only so quickly, I don't think it actually matters. I think I'm going to leave it exactly as it is. But what I do like is the idea that these things are light boxes. So I'd like to put that that image kind of glowing thing in there as well on the posters. That's perfect. So maybe I'll just leave that one as it is, and you know. I do, but this time I didn't. So it was I've done it so far, but it's of course the one time that I do need it, I didn't save it. So it's just the way it is, isn't it? I could start from that file again, and maybe I should do that. Yeah, I guess I could do that. I just go revert to what I've got. All I've done so far is put your graphic in here on both sides, so that's not really that difficult to do. Maybe I will do that actually. Yeah, let's do that. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Revert, boom. Because I thought, you know, those are just very easy changes there. No need to save a version. Because it never works that way, does it? Come on, Blender, you can do it. Is he doing something? I know reverting a scene takes a little bit of time. Sometimes it's easier to just close Blender and load the file again, I guess. Yeah, maybe I'll just go and open that. Don't save it. There we go. The grid background. No, it's I literally just put the file in exactly like you made it. So in shading, there we go. This is it. If I head over to look dev, yeah, it's literally the Photoshop file that I've used for that. Give them a second until, yay, there we go. So this is still my botched up file here that I made last time with a pattern that wasn't quite matching up there. And so now if I go and left sign, there it is. All I did was take that from textures, that's the one. There. That's it. So we have before and after. So very nice. Thank you so much for that wonderful job. I really appreciate that. So now I can just go and select this and choose the PSD version. There we go. That's really all I had done. So that's actually really easy to go back to this thing. And now I can go and turn these front planes into glass one more time. There, that's actually really easy. Just select that material. It was such a big job that you've done there. But the thing is, I'm so glad that you recorded it. There was so much that I've learned from that. There's so much Photoshop knowledge, working knowledge in there that I just don't have, you know. So yeah, that was very handy. Glass poster left, boom. The glass glaze. Oh, that's not exactly what I wanted. I meant basic glass. There, basic glass, that's what I meant. Boom, basic glass. Same thing here. Basic glass. This, oh yeah, we need to do that again, but I'll do that in a moment. That's also the glass. And then this is the glass, perfect. So it looks like that front poster, that's the one that we need to tweak for the light. So let's, while we're here, let's do that. Let's go back to front. And just like we did last time there, from color, we'll go and put that into the emission shader. Oh, did this not update? Boom, basic glass, perfect there. And then here, poster, front poster is also the same thing. And then these things on the outside also look like light boxes. And then the other thing I'll do in a moment is thank you so much to Dreamlab, who has kindly given me a good-looking HDRI of downtown LA. So we'll put that in a moment. That's going to make the whole outside look much more appropriate, I hope. Well, just before you arrived, Christina, I turned this thing here, that little ticket booth, into its own material. I tried everything here. That's not defined as a material. Weirdly, we have a lot of stuff defined, but the this glass pane is just not defined. So I don't know why they didn't do that, but that's easy enough to do, I guess. Call that new. There we go. Sorry. Call that ticket booth glass, and then we'll put glass there, and now we have this thing as a little glassy thing. Woo-hoo. There. So before we put a light in there, let's have a look at this with the HDRI in place. That will be nice. The whole outdoor shot here. That was, I think that was that here? Oh no, that was somewhere on the world tab. There we go, Urban Courtyard. That's the one. And I'm going to open another. Let's have a look at what it looks like right now. So that we need to have a look at in a real render, I guess, to get a bit of an idea. So it's not very detailed, and it's kind of an afternoon scene, and I'm thinking it'll look much nicer if this is actually a night scene. So I'll go and open the one that Dreamlab sent me, which was in that was me. That's on the desktop, but that's here. Textures, HDRI, interior, exterior, panoramic HDRI. That's the one. LA downtown helipad night. That was it. That is quite substantial, isn't it? 106 megabytes. I was thinking that as well. So I might flatten that later on. But yeah, look at that. I mean, that looks really cool, considering that we won't actually get to see the background that much. If I go and switch to our real camera here. This is our frame 1 of our frame 0 of the animation. Come on, Blender. And that's nice. Captain Slaymore! Glad that you could make it. I don't have my applause board right now, but otherwise I would totally give you a round of applause. And anyone else who joins the stream. Everyone's welcome. So, but mainly it's giving this whole image that nice evening flair in which people would go out and watch some movies, I hope. And we can see some of the light boxes come to life and the signs coming to life. So that's just exactly what I want. Go for it, Christina. It is the future, I tell you. Oh yeah, the other thing I haven't built into this animation yet is the is depth of field. I might not actually do that. I might just leave it all without depth of field and just have it just as it is. I mean, that just adds that more rendering time there. So I'll just go leave it as it is. But here we go. So this is lights up here. That's all very nice. The only thing that we need now is a tiny light on the inside of that little booth here. Let's put that in right now. Other than that, I'm really nice for. I really like the look of that. And I love the reflections from the HDRI now. This is going to look so smashing. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be so cool. Oh, do we need to have these? Need to be lights too, don't they? These little surfaces here. Let's look at that. That'll kind of light up this whole courtyard thing. Make that a bit more friendly. What do you think? Was that overkill? We have like 4 million light sources as it is. Perhaps less is more. I don't know. Food for thought. Yes, I totally agree with you. Not needed for animation. Why not? Render time is only 20 minutes per image as it is. That's not that bad, but it's it's bad. So let's see how we can. Yeah, let's just use this as a selection. Was it Shift S to put the cursor to the selected surface? There we go. Then back in edit mode, we're just going to go and make sure this is created in the correct collection, shall I say, namely lights. Let's go and create. It can just be a little point light, nothing fancy. There it is. Is it in the, yeah, I'm going to call this one ticket booth light. Haha. And I'll move it just further into the booth here, maybe up, so as if it's like one boring ceiling light that hangs there from the ceiling. And light wise, I'll make it a 100-watt bulb for now. See what it looks like. See if it looks like anything. Oh, there we go. It's lit up. Look at that. That is just so cool. It doesn't really need to be more than that. It just needs to show us. It's just illuminated. That's all we need there. Oh, this is so exciting. And you can, of course, you can completely go overboard and then put movie posters on the inside and the clerk and the cash register, but we're not going to do any of that. I'm thinking maybe 100 watt is a bit too much. Let's make it maybe 30. And also, actually, 30 is probably not quite enough. Let's make it 60. And also make that a bit orangey warm, because it's kind of one of those. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm thinking. It depends, Captain Slaymore. It has. Actually, yes, it depends on the render engine. The new render engine that they've put in there in Blender is the Eevee engine, and that's the one that gives us that look dev engine. So that's the real-time preview. And if you were to visualize your animations with that, it's absolutely phenomenal, because it is more or less a real-time rendering engine. Maybe I will actually leave it at 100 watts. It is one of those things. Whereas this engine that we're currently using, that's a bit like the iRay engine. That's their Cycles engine, and that's also an unbiased rendering engine, but unlike iRay, which only works with NVIDIA cards, Cycles works with all graphics cards. So that's really good news for the AMD crowd and the Intel crowd. So that is something that that you can't really do in DAZ Studio with iRay. So there's more opportunities for other graphics cards that are supported. So I do like that. But the Eevee rendering engine, that is something that DAZ Studio is very much lacking. So if I switch back to that, this is it. So this is essentially a textured view with most of the materials being previewed live, and that is absolutely phenomenal. So the way, like in DAZ, for example, you have to set up different materials, much like in Poser. You have to set up different materials for the OpenGL preview, which no one does anymore, which is a shame, and for iRay. So if a material is set up for iRay and then you switch over to the regular texture shaded view, then nothing looks as it would look in reality because the shaders are all very different. But what they've done in Blender, that's a very clever thing, that they've set up this Eevee live rendering engine to use the same nodes as the Cycles rendering engine is. So they're mostly there. They're still working on it, but eventually I guess the idea is that you can set up one material, preview it live, and then switch over to Cycles and it'll look exactly the same, just better. So with all lighting effects, you know. I'll do you a favor, Christina. What's the favor? Sure. Eevee, boom. It takes a second for it to... Actually, no, now it won't actually take a second. It's just... because look dev, I don't think it makes a difference. It just makes a difference when I now switch to the rendered shaded viewport. Right, indeed, yeah. This is Eevee, exactly. This is now the Eevee engine, and it's so like the glass things here. Whoops, the glass materials. They are real time reflecting the HDRI on there. So that's phenomenal. And this is literally the first version of this animation that I've built was literally put together in 2 hours, and that included setting up the lights and rendering out the animation. So if this quality is enough for you, I mean, look at the lights. The lights are accurately previewed, you know, all the reflecting surfaces. And in Cycles, this takes quite a while to do. But if this quality as a visualization or even as a final product is enough for you, that is something that we just don't have in DAZ, and I'm not sure if they're ever going to implement that. Yeah, so it's almost what happens if we try and play it back in real time? Yeah, real time, look at that, 60 frames a second. That's seriously cool. That is seriously cool. This is stuttering a little bit, I guess, because he's playing back a video file now, so he's doing it a little bit slower than the final product would be. And also because we have like tons of light sources at the top there. They're not doing great things for the overall lighting in here. Gleb, all right. I must look into that because this is something I want to leverage that for animations more and more. I don't really want to go and have this rendered in Cycles now. Ideally, I would just go and keep everything Eevee as it is, and then just have Blender render this out in, you know, however long it takes. But this whole animation in 1920 by 1080 in Eevee takes Blender less than 10 minutes to render out, which is seriously awesome. Creative Shrimps, that's a good title. I like that. Well, look at that, you even get that little circle of light here that's coming through there. This is just so cool. Let's do that. Let's turn these things into emissive surfaces then. Or rather than emissive surfaces, we can, yeah, no, actually, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do it. Gleb Alexandro, do you know that does actually ring a bell? That does indeed ring a bell. It's actually yes, all of it is done in Blender, but I didn't do most of it. Well, most of it came in from the set from Iron Man 13. So what I did in the first episode there was to tweak most of these materials because the textures were just too big. So I just made them smaller. So all the textures were there. Most of them were okay, but the loop textures, like on the building and all, they were a little bit too big. Like on the carpet, they looked a bit much, and I just needed to make them smaller. And then I had to go through and turn some of them into surfaces that would emit light, like the posters here and all these things. And then I had to go and turn the lights on, so essentially turn the surfaces that were defined as DAZ Studio lighting surfaces. I needed to define those as lights, and that's pretty much what we're going to do now. So these things here now are they're just surfaces, and I'm gonna turn them, much like we do in DAZ Studio, I'm gonna turn them into light emissive surfaces. So I'll see if I can go and select them here in the materials tab. Ticket booth glass, oh, that's mine. Okay, nice. So it looks like, I'm not sure if they've defined it. I'm not sure if they've defined it here, these things. I can just press L when I'm in edit mode and I'm hovering over an object. I just press L, and that will select all the linked polygons there. I'm looking through the list of things they've got here. Light wall front. Let me just go and unselect that and just go light wall front. There we go. Yes, they have defined it. There we go. That's it. So they have defined it, and this is nice. They've got just the lights rather than the whole object, because that's probably, if you wanted to go to town there, you'd probably go and turn this. Oops, no, that's no. Yeah, you did the right thing, Blender. It was me. You would probably define this here as metal or as something else, and then this is the surface that emits light. So let's add a material: invisible light or volumetric light. I'm not going to do either of these things. I'm going to go to the shading tab and turn that into an emissive shader. So right now, I think all these things are just the regular principled BSDF shader. Let me try and just create an emissive shader here, just a basic emission shader. Emission goes there. That we don't need anymore. We can just go delete that. And this, in an ideal world, should now have turned on our lights. What's the converter, Christina? Tell me about it. What does that do? It takes Blender a moment to go and give me that preview render. But yeah, look at that. These are now actual light sources. I don't know if they're going to be. They're not bright enough. Whoops, they're not bright enough just yet. But we do see that there's lamps in action. So let's see if we can just crank them up to maybe 10. And then they actually have that little glow that illuminates our canopy underground here. Now I'm getting that real sense that there's something else underneath there. It's 100, that might be a bit much. And just like in iRay, the more light sources you have, the longer it takes you to render that, of course. Oh, okay. Well, thanks, Christina. I'll check that out. This might be this might be a good opportunity to test this, just like we did before. Test this, how this would look in Eevee. See if we see any emission strength there. No, it looks like that isn't really emitting anything. I don't see any light bits and bobs on the floor, so I can see these things here. This is light that's actually coming out. Maybe Eevee doesn't yet preview emissive surfaces. Could that be it? Is that right? I also don't really get the, yeah, I do now get the sense that there's light happening here. I just don't know. 1,000 is probably too much. So I can see that Cycles is building this thing here. I'm just not sure if 1,000 is maybe a little bit much, or if it's just right. I can't tell. I can tell through all the grains something's coming out here. Maybe let's just go and render a single frame out, and then we get a bit of a look at the, like this maybe. Let's render this out. What's the resolution there? Yeah, let's render that out at 1280 by 720. That should be fine. We're all getting older, aren't we, Christina? That's the long and the short of it. Let me have a look. What does that convert then, that converter thing? Well, this thing is going to town. DAZ to Blender. Oh, that. Yes, I remember that. Is this, it sounds like this is only for the figures. Is it also for any other kinds of objects? Does it do this for literally every object? Because that would be seriously cool. I'd imagine so. $15, Christina. And this is exactly the kind of product that we can review on 3D Scrutiny too. These are the kind of hidden gems that's the other kind of point of the website, I guess, discovery. Some people get the DAZ newsletter, but that's really all they get. And some people get the Rendo newsletter, but that's all they get. And sometimes it's difficult to discover new things that are relevant to users. So there we go. So I can see the lights active. That's good. Oh, and then we buy this from as a community kind of 3D scrutiny thing. That's a cool idea. That's not a bad idea, Christina. Do that. For evaluation purposes, probably a really good idea, because that wouldn't be, we wouldn't use this as a commercial thing. Sometimes we just want to see what it's like. That's a very good idea. Very good idea. So I can see the light is indeed active. I'm using the denoiser, by the way. This is why these tiles here, Captain Slaymore, this is interesting. The way the denoiser works here, tile by tile. These things are currently rendered, but they're not denoised yet. And as other tiles are being rendered, the denoiser kind of kicks in and gets rid of noise up here. It does a very good job. So these things are undenoised, and he's doing a good job denoising things. Here, the denoiser looks rather terrible, so this doesn't look very good. But that's where a higher amount of iterations would come in handy, or no denoiser. So up here he does a really good job, down here not so much. I'm also thinking that 1000 is probably a little bit much, so I'm going to tweak this into more of an orange kind of light, and maybe make it, say, 300. This is supposed to be like these are all dim kind of, dim kind of light sources here, I'm thinking. So yeah, let's turn that into 300. Oh, it doesn't work, does it? I've got one keyboard attached to two computers, and depending on which computer that's talking to, that's sometimes why things don't work. So. Yeah, make those nice and orange here. And that's our lights set up on the outside. In fact, all the lights, HDRI, and the little booth thing, and the, oh, this is nice. I like it. It's very good. Now, the next thing I want to have a look at is this texture here. This one here. Right now it's saying now showing Wisp of Reason, and I'd like for this to read now showing JPlays. I have played with this file already here in Photoshop. Let me just put that. Let me just replace that with the correct version, because I literally just opened that in Photoshop and then turned it into a PSD file. Actually, let's just do that. No, it's fine. I'm just going to open the thing. Did I do that? Where then, pray tell, is it? That's at the original location, wasn't it? I have a feeling it's probably easier to just ask Photoshop where that file was. That's it, exactly. That's it. This was a test to see if my amendments are actually on there. So let me save that, because I have no idea where that is, where that file lives. It's in there already. That's in Blender files textures, right? I'm going to keep this together with all the other files, which is here and here, and I'll just call that I13 move sine 76. Yeah, let's do that. Perfect. Good. Yes, 76, perfect. That's it. And it has indeed got my amendments on there. That's cool. That's good. It's a good start. So let's take these things off, make a duplicate of that. And I've learned this new thing last time, and I'm totally going to use that here as well. Now showing, I think I'll leave as it is, and I'll just say down below here, Wisp of Reason is what I want to get rid of. And Christina showed me this last time, so I'll work on that right now. Content aware fill. That is just so cool. Maybe I can zoom in to show you how cool that is. So the background has a bit of a pattern to it, and I want to retain that pattern and just get rid of the text. That's very exciting to go content aware fill. Photoshop thinks about it for a bit and just gets rid of this completely. I'm super impressed about this, and the pattern is still intact. So I don't know what kind of magic is going on there, but hey, I love it. See, Captain Slaymo, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'd love to learn more about Eevee. There we go. So now I can go and just put JPlays on here. The only thing I don't know is, and I know Premiere has this feature, that So if we look at this file in Blender, it's obviously, well, let me just go and save this file actually. And here, how do we refresh the image thing here? I guess we have to do that in an image editor, don't we? So UV editing. Go and have a look at our image that I don't remember the title. It had something about 76 in there. Yeah, there we go. That's it. So in order to refresh that, we can go reload. Ha, there we go. Perfect. So under shading, the aspect ratio is different in the texture than it is on the object. So I know there is a way in Premiere to tell Premiere what pixel aspect ratio something has. I'm sure that's available in Photoshop as well. And in here, I would say it's probably something like 3 or 4 to 1 that would display the image stretched out, but I cannot remember where that is. Let me see if I can work it out. You'd imagine it's under image, variables analysis, left down, here maybe. Width and height, no, that's not it. Measurement scale, is that it? Could that be it? No. I'm looking for a way to display the image in an aspect ratio other than 1 to 1. So the pixel aspect ratio I'm looking for, and ideally I'd like to display this in something like more stretched out, so I can apply the text, so I get a visual of that rather than having to condense the text, you know. And it's usually it's along these lines here. Photoshop may not have it, and I know Premiere has it, and I think if you export an image from Premiere, Photoshop acknowledges the aspect ratios. So like in stretched images, anamorphic images, and all that is being taken care of there. You can imagine it's set with the image somehow. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't work, I'll just go and just wing the text essentially. Yeah, same here. I can imagine it has that, but I also don't know where that is. So we're just going to wing it and go and turn the, whoops, no, not like that. We're going to go and just squash the layer essentially. So let's get the height right first. Oh, you have it? Oh, awesome. And then this is kerning, so this is not what we want. Oops. This is kind of what we want. Search film type pixel ratio. That's a clever idea. Let's do that. That is actually a very clever idea. The search box is where again? Oh, search, there we go. That's actually a very clever idea. Oops. View pixel aspect ratio, that's the one. Yeah, exactly. So view, that's where it is. Thank you so much. Very exciting. Pixel aspect ratio. Yes, exactly. And now I could go ahead and do something drastic like that. Exactly, that helps me out. And looking at how stretched this is, I mean, we don't know. This is probably something like 1 to 4, so I'll try that. Thank you so much. We've learned something new today. Look at that. Pixel aspect ratio. Custom pixel aspect ratio is factor 4, let's say. Indeed. That's nice because this lets us, this with the text layer means I need to really squash this a little bit more just as a visualization, so that we have something along the same. Yeah, actually that was probably spot on here, wasn't it? Yeah. The crop tool does that as well. I thought the crop tool only, no, I didn't know that. Let's see what happens if we save it now and go ahead. I think it's also Alt R. Is that what does it? Is this Alt? Is this image? Reload Alt R. Should do. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Right. Learned something new today. Pixel aspect ratio in Photoshop. Nice. So now this also says JPlays, and I think that's nice. We only see this for half a second, so it really isn't that all that important, but oh, they were very zoomed in here. Let me just go back to this here. We only see this so quickly, but it's there and it's nice and subtle, and you know, I like it. I like it. Well, I think, see, this is so nice about these streams that we can just literally talk shop about all so many exciting things here. I wonder also then if we, so I'm basically, I've done everything I wanted to do, and now I can set off the rendering. We can probably figure out how many pixels I need, how many iterations I need in order for this to look cool. But one other thing while I'm looking at this, what might look cool, and of course it adds even more, light sources to the whole thing. I wonder if we can convert some of these materials here into emissive light sources so that they all have that little halo type light around it. Maybe not all of them. I might even do that just with regular point lights instead, and only keep the lights, show up the lights that are actually showing here. So it's this one here that probably gives us a little light here, and these 3 here, they'll do that. I don't think any of the front lights, we do get to see these ones here, so maybe we do those as well. I might just put a point light or a little spotlight that shines down into the tops of these so that we have a nice little circle that shows up. I think I'd like to do that. Let's do that. Let's pick this guy here. Whoops. That wasn't what I meant. Yeah, this. Do we have any materials here? Yeah, we have glass and the bulb. So I'm not going to use emissive surfaces for that. I think I'm just going to use a regular light with that. Whoops. There. But to select this thing, I think I can just use object mode and then go and put the cursor there. Cursor, are you with me? Cursor to selected. Where is the cursor? Cursor is there. Why are you there? That's uncool. Cursor to selected. There's the cursor. Perfect. Yes, I like that. That's exactly the the spot we need it in. So go and create a spotlight. Spotlight already shines down. That's good. I like it. That is good. It's also in the correct position, so that makes my life a lot easier. While it does its thing, 100 watts probably not going to be big enough, so let's try 1000 watt. There we go. Yeah, this is exactly what I mean. This is precisely the type of effect I'm looking for. Yeah, that's really, make it a bit softer on the outside with the blend thing here. Try 0.75 there. Yeah, perfect. And then size is fine. I think I might make that 2000. And make the angle a bit wider. Try 60. That's good. Let's try 60 and then 0.75 here. And we go and make that a bit yellower again. Maybe I've overdone that a little bit. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think that's all we need. It's true, yes. It's usually we deal with square pixels. So in anything that we do for publishing on computers, we all have square pixels. It's just that sometimes in video post-production, we deal with different aspect ratio pixels. So for example, if you imagine a CinemaScope movie that looks say the negative looks about this size, something like a 4:3 thing, but the image is recorded really squashed. So they do that so that you have a wider kind of, just capture a wider area. And then so on the filming process, you basically squash the image down and record people slim and tall. Whereas on the projection process, you then do the same thing, expand them again so that they look okay. And in the digital world, in order to emulate the effect, we sometimes use a pixel aspect ratio that's not square, but elongated. So a classic example was in SD television, the 16:9 images. They were recorded on a regular 4:3 tape, like that, but squashed. And then each pixel would be not displayed as a square, but as a slight rectangle, and that would unsquash them. And that is where this aspect ratio, pixel aspect ratio thing even comes in. And thankfully Photoshop supports that. And so this is still, you can, if you zoom into this, the disadvantage is that the vertical resolution is fine, but the horizontal resolution is fine, but the vertical resolution is slightly scraggy. So ideally, in our example of Blender, we would have solved that in a different way. Just the way they put the texture in was done that way. I don't really know. Oh, black screen. That's not good. What's my screen doing? No, it looks like my stream is still there. Refresh. Yeah, let me know when you're back online. That's essentially the reason why we sometimes. Oh, there we go. I'm back. Woo! That's the reason why we have this thing, so that we can be compatible. So in where we set this up here under pixel aspect ratio, these are all the things that the different video things allow us to do. Like anamorphic is 2:1, for example. That's what they mean by that, is the CinemaScope anamorphic thing. And this would be kind of like HTV and DVC Pro, they record their image slightly squashed. Digital Beta Cam does that, and so those types of formats. They utilize this so that they can basically squash a wider image onto a regular sized tape. It loses some information there, so it's not a great idea. So HDCAM-SR doesn't do that. That records square pixels, and ideally we'd have square pixels here. That's why multi-streaming really comes in handy, Captain Slaymore. Be on all platforms. So because if we now switch this back to square, we can see that this is really what our image looks like, and the other one is just so that we can preview something in a way that it would be used should we have a non-square pixel aspect ratio. Don't think I'm explaining that very well, but hey. So let me go and rename my first light here street light, and then I'll go and duplicate that and put that somewhere here. It doesn't have to be that accurate. That's street light 1. Duplicate that, GY, constrain that to about here. Okay, that's pretty perfect. Let's do that. That's those 3 lights. And now we just duplicate all 3 of them, Shift D. Oh, you see, no, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done Shift D. I should have done Alt D. Okay, see if we can unduplicate those and get rid of that guy and that guy. In fact, yeah, let's just go and X these 2 and just start again with the first street light. So it's Alt D to create a linked duplicate. And now we go. So linked duplicate is not in a copy that we can adjust independently like light values. A linked copy is adjust any of them, and all of them will take up the same value. So in my case, if I wanted all lights to be a little bit more bright or less bright, then I can do that. So Alt D created a linked duplicate. GY, drop that guy here. Good enough. Alt D, enter GY, put that guy here. Sure, do that for now, Christina. I think that's a good idea. Going forward, once we give it away to Patreon supporters, I think a license is a great idea. And it's interesting. I hadn't thought about this either, not at all. And now we just go move these guys over here. Yes, let's do that. It's I didn't think of that either. It doesn't have to be super accurate, but we'll go. Oh yeah, this was a little bit much actually. So let's go and put these guys over here. There. Captain Slaymore, that's another cool thing about Blender, the way it handles manipulation. So this gizmo thing here, that's new to Blender, but in previous times, and I think that's why we all remember these shortcuts. It did these amazing keyboard shortcuts. So G for grab, move the thing around like this thing. I can now go and hit G and then move the thing anywhere I like. Hit escape to bring it back. G followed by an axis constrains the object to that axis. So G, Z would move it only up and down. It's very, very handy to do that. Hold Shift while you do that and it moves slower. Very nice. And it escaped to bring it back. G, Shift, Z together constrains it to 2 axes. Very cool. So now it never moves up and down, but it will move left and right on this plane. And this is kind of what I'm looking for. So I'm looking to put that thing here. So I haven't quite got there yet, so I'll go and put that guy here and here. But then to make a duplicate of this light, Shift D will duplicate it. Alt D will create that linked duplicate, so I'll do that. Click, and then I can go GX, constrain it to the X-axis, and just go move that guy over here. Do the same thing again. Alt D, click G, X. Move that guy over here. And I've just realized those 3 lights aren't actually, oops, what I wanted to select. So I'll go and move all of them further. These lights aren't in the scene. They're actually only these 3 lights here. So G followed by G followed by Y to move them all slightly further over here. Oh no, I didn't select the 3rd guy. Not good. So this guy. What's the matter with you? This guy, where's the other guy? Where's this guy? Oh, that's you. Okay, good stuff. So this guy, that guy, and that guy. And that guy. Why can't I select all of them? It's terrible. You'd think Shift would do the trick. Why can't I select this guy now? Where's my street light gone? There, oh, okay. Original street light. So you'd imagine, isn't that Control Select? Shift Select then. Okay. So Alt D, no, not even Alt D. What am I doing? I just wanted to move them, didn't I? So there we go. G, Y, move all lights over here. Ah. So. Right. Oh. Did we have a gizmo before? I don't even remember. Christina, I do not recall us having a gizmo. Maybe because I never used it. That is very possible. Also, should have probably saved my scene before I previewed the viewport. Just thought that would have been a good idea. What a shame. It looks like we're 1 light short over here, so that is a light that needs to be in there. So most of these are really out of the frame of vision. But those over here, I do like them. That's nice. I like to see these things in the background. We're going to bring this guy back for sure. Those things. I might make the angle a little bit wider. I'm even tempted to put the whole mast somewhere closer to the cinema, but I might just really leave it as is. As I might make the circles just a little bit bigger and bring that light back. Let me do that. So yes, it looks like there's one light. We have 8 street lights. We have not got the 9th one, so we're going to go duplicate this guy. Alt D, click G, Y. And Christina, is it worth me mentioning this bug that this icon disappears the moment I press G when I actually need to see the gizmo? Is it worth filing a bug report for that, or do they know that already? They know already. Is it something that'll be fixed for 2.81? Is that what's happening? Size. Maybe I'll make it 80. Let's try 80. 80 larger circles. And maybe also with blend, maybe I'll try 60. No, not 60, sorry, 0.6 rather. Make the circle slightly smaller, yet brighter. And you know, in fact, the color here, I wonder, can I pick this color? Because then we'd have it's kind of the same color. It actually looks uglier than I thought it was gonna look. I was thinking maybe something like orangey, like the same kind of, you know, if if these would in fact be the same lights as over there. It just doesn't look right, does it? Yeah, I'm gonna use my manual tweaking eye here rather. Yeah, I'll just leave that. Oh, okay. Right click select, that is a forum. It's unbelievable. Steve, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Or us, shall I say. So nice to have you. We've just done the final tweaks here on the outside of JPlays. So that's very nice. Put some street lights on here. And I think we can go and just have a look at a few single images rendered properly. So I've set this up with the denoiser on the default. I don't really know if that's good or not. They don't. It doesn't look great on some parts of the image. With 1024 iterations, I'm inclined to go with 2048. Oops, well, that's a lot of iterations. 2048. There we go. And just see what this looks like. First of all, I'm going to save it though. Very important. Save as Cinema 11. There we go. And this is just to satisfy my curiosity with the optics prime acceleration in this version of Blender that I have. F12. There we go. Let's see what it looks like. It's a very cool name, Christina. I love it. Very nice name. Right click select. Very cool. So if I had two graphics cards, by the way, this would now have two little icons here to render. When I use my CPU rendering, that looks very, very cool. I might just do that for a laugh in a moment. It looks very cool. I have 24 threads, I think. 24, 48, 24 threads, I think. Yeah, two hexa-core CPUs. Yes, that's 12, and each does 2 threads. So yeah, that's 24 little orange things going all at once. That's very nice. But all of them together are not as fast as the graphics card. So there, with the denoiser, this is where the denoiser has not quite taken place yet. This is the denoised version. Probably fine for an animation. For still image, I don't think it's working great. Christina, you've mentioned that there are other denoising plugins. Is that the right word for Blender? So that's worth. This is Blender native, absolutely. You've mentioned that there's some other ones. I'm happy to try them out. Maybe that'll get us better results. We can compare them one after the other. So it's literally when lights and emissive surfaces are being calculated. There's just, I guess there's more noise there, and it's difficult for the thing to get an accurate, just a denoising thing going. This gets better if I just crank up the iterations to 8,000 per image. But the preview of this, and this is not even 1920 by 1080. This is like, we're talking 5 minutes per picture per frame at this resolution, and I think I'm using 1300 frames. Let me just quickly do the maths here. 1300 frames times 5 minutes, that's 6,500 minutes divided by 60. That's 108 hours divided by 24. That's 4.5 days. And that's not even at 1920 by 1080. So yeah, I do have 3 computers, so the actual render time is going to be faster, but still. Remington Pro. Is this a paid for thing? Or is this even free, say you? I personally haven't Captain Slaymore, but I've heard very good things about them. Like Brian, Zero Kelvin, he's just purchased them. Steve has them, so he knows a bit about them. Exactly, Backdoor 3D, that's Steve. Progressive works better. Okay, I'll try that out in a minute. That's good. Ooh, okay. Blended denoise. And is it just an add-on that I install? Is that how it works? For 2.8, it's open source. Oh, very cool. I've just downloaded it. That's great. I'm going to install that next, and we'll kick off another render so that we can have just a few examples and we can look at them a little bit closer, one after the other in Photoshop maybe. Let me go save this as... this is going to be redesigned, right? That's the big new thing in 2.81, that we have a native redesigned file dialog. That's not where I wanted it. I wanted this to be in here and here. Test renders, dude. Test render. So I'm gonna use this and some PNG maybe, and let's call this native denoiser 2048 iterations there. Installation guide. Oh, it's not as easy as adding that thing on here. Let me just go and grab that from my other computer. Denoise. I like it. Paste that here. Add-ons, install, desktop denoise, boom. Haha, render denoise, AI accelerated denoiser. Install optics binaries. Let's do it. 243 megabytes, sure, let's do it. Let's be generous. This is nice. Are you doing it? I can't tell. Are you? Do I need to do this now? Do I have to... Installing, okay. Very patient with these things. No problem. It says 100%. Maybe that's it completed. Ah, installed. Perfect. That's I like it. Cool. Grant Wilk, this is my pleasure to try this out. Me too. I mean, according to the website, that is, that was, So I'm going to switch off this denoising. I'm going to go denoise AI denoiser. Use HDRI training. Whoa. Use extra passes. Whoa. We have options. Well, I'll say we just use it plain vanilla as it comes out. Let's try to render this thing. Restart. Ah, okay. Thank you for the tip. Quick denoise. Look at that. That's very exciting. Not responding. That's not good. No. I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna have we save this. Yeah, I've heard of the man, but I've never watched any of his things. I'm going to go and just save over the previous version because that is that's probably still the same. Let me restart. Oh, Christina, speaking of optics, is that a new feature in Blender 2.81? Is that going to be included as the default? I'd imagine it is if it works already on this branch. I thought so. Yeah, cool. Thanks for confirming that. I'm looking forward to it. Tomorrow at, when did you say? 1:15, 1:30 a.m. in Europe. So that's 1:30 a.m. Oh my goodness, that's in a minute, isn't it? It's already out essentially. Okay, here's the thing. We're still in the same frame. Woo! That is cool. Let's render this with Grant's denoiser, and then we're going to have a look in Photoshop. I haven't rendered it at 1920 by 1080, just at 1280 by 720, but it should still give us a good comparison. So this is undenoised for now, I would imagine. If it works indeed the same way as the Blender denoiser works, this is exciting. I love it. Another thing I want to test out this week is that render farm that you've mentioned. What was it again? The Sheepit render farm. That's the one. So I want to see if my other computer that is behind me, that is one I'd like to hook up to iSheepit and then let it be part of the whole render thing and see how fast that goes. So in about 12 hours from now, no matter which time zone we're on, to 12 hours and 15 minutes, that sort of thing. That's great. That's just for my first cup of coffee tomorrow. It's gonna be good. So it looks like Grant's denoiser is denoising very differently. So it may even be a post-production step. So right now I don't see anything denoised so far. So I would imagine it happens at the very end when the image is rendered. Right. And I suppose also, just like with the built-in denoiser, like for any denoiser, the less noisy your image is to begin with, the better it is, of course, for the overall result. I must say I've never actually looked at this image undenoised. I've always had the denoiser on, and it's not pretty, especially at 500 or 1,000 iterations. It's not pretty. Really? Oh, exciting. Because, I mean, looking at this image, yeah, it is noisy in the areas where we have lights, and I guess we have a lot of lights here, and sometimes on the inside it doesn't look that great. But if I could get away with 1,000 iterations less, then I would be looking at 2.5 minutes per image, and that's not so bad at all. That's like 30 images, 30, 40 images an hour, and that's kind of cool. I like that. No, I totally forgot about progressive. So let's let's see where that even is. I don't even know where I need to set that in Blender. So yeah, we're going to do progressive in a moment. See if we can get even better results with that. I totally forgot. Yeah, I know where it is in DAZ, but I have no idea where it is in Blender. So rendering is done. Do I now need to go and do something else? Do I need to click this here? Oh, no, I didn't even need to do that. It just did it. It just did it. It just thought about it for a moment, and then it just did it. Right, save this as, ooh, where are we now? Yeah, this is the Pausen. This is here, test renders. And now we'll say grants denoiser. 2048 iterations. While Blender is doing this thing with progressive again, let me just go and head over to the preferences, render settings, performance. I don't even see render settings here. You're thinking of DAZ Studio. I'd imagine it's somewhere on the render tab here, isn't it? Could be under performance. Progressive refine, is that what we mean? Instead of rendering each tile until it is finished, refine the whole image progressively. This renders somewhat slower, but time can be saved by manually stopping the render when the noise is low enough. Is this what you mean, Steve? Because I wonder if it actually makes a difference to the quality. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, so it's basically like what it does on the viewport then. Let me let it render here. While it does that, we do other things. We go into Photoshop and load files into a stack is what I'm looking for. And then we just go and desktop, yes, there we go. Cinema, test renders, these two, yes. No, not quite there yet, not quite there yet. There, perfect. So on top we have grants render, on the bottom we have the Blender denoiser. I don't know about you, but I think the Blender denoiser wins in this case. Let me zoom in. So this is the Blender denoiser, and this is grants denoiser. I mean, it has gotten rid of more noise, but it also kind of destroyed the whole texture on the bottom here. It is a difficult image, I give you that. It's a little bit softer here where the tree is. So this is Blender, this is grants denoiser. So it made it a little bit softer. But again, it's sometimes the devil is really in the comparison too. So it is one of those things where for an animation, we may be fine with this. This is 1 out of 60 frames per second. So it is, with animations, it can be more beneficial if the image itself is much smoother. So I don't know. I don't know. So with animations, the problem is when you see the difference from one frame to another, that looks like a grizzling, whistling. So it really depends. Learning switch, huh? My goodness. What else is there? Remaining 8 minutes. That can't be good. Well, yeah, they did say it makes the rendering process somewhat slower. So HDRI learning is the way to go. Will that work also on my interior lights that do not get HDRI? I wonder. What say you, Steve, in your experience? As somebody who's worked with Blender way longer than I have. Yes, it is. It is actually a lot slower. So if this is now, this is done about 40%, I guess, of the like 30 odd percent, and it's still got a long way to go. Okay, I'm gonna stop this because that'll be a really boring stream if we watch the render come together for 8 minutes. Okay, but if this improves quality, I might let that render, while we're not watching, and we'll see what happens. I'd like to have a look at an interior render. This is a difficult one here. And see where that performs. I'm not going to use progressive just for time's sake. And once again, we're going to render with the Blender denoiser versus Grant's denoiser. We'll see what happens. So this is what you mean here. Use extra passes and use HDR training. That could be something that's beneficial, right? Could probably try that out. I like it. I like it. Just like plain vanilla. Let's have a look at the interior render here. And also let's try with less iterations. Let's try 1024. Once again, just for time's sake. Let's do that. No problem. I'll have a look at his videos. Thank you for the tip. That's really nice. That's really nice to hear. And I'm interested what the sheeped render farm can bring to the whole party. That sounds actually really cool. To 500? Okay, let's do that. Do you know, it sounds crazy, but sometimes I do like just watching renders come together, especially if they just gradually appear in front of my eyes. I do like that. I like that. Maybe there's a whole 24/7 channel in it. We could literally have this thing render itself out frame by frame live overnight with like nice smooth jazz music or something. That'd be kind of cool. It can be relaxing, can't it? Yeah, yeah. And you think, yeah, look at that. It's kind of all the hard work we've put in to this. Of course, the compositor. That is an idea. Yeah, because with 500 iterations, it literally looks like I'd get away with 2 minutes per frame. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Yeah, it's difficult here on the walls because sometimes we see pattern coming through and other times we just see mush. And that's difficult in the animation because each frame will look slightly different from sometimes mush will be in a different place and then that causes the flickering. So that really is where Grant's denoiser might come in handy because it just makes everything smoother overall. Look at that, the popcorn machine. That wasn't glass when this came in. This was just a solid box. So we put the glass in, revealing popcorn. These lights here in the table, we put all those in. These are light sources. All these shadows here, they were not there. These posters are technically kind of, you know, illuminating surfaces. Yeah. That's native, so that's interior. Let's call that interior 500 blender. And now let's go and have Grant's thing take a crack at it. Yeah, 1 minute 59, so 2 minutes. That's not bad. Not bad at all. I had this idea to, now that we've built this whole set and the scene out, I'm thinking I can just simply change the outside. Instead of it saying J Plays, it could say 3D Shenanigans as well. So I can create, from the animation that we've just set up, I could create a second animation that will then be the title sequence for these types of streams. That'd be cool. Until we have, you know, another title sequence for this. I'm happy to build another one. There's so many sets we can do this with. And it's just such a nice process to do that. I was, just before the stream started, I was watching the holding loop, which is basically made up of all such types of elements, just playing around with that 3D Shenanigans logo. And it's nice, and I like that. I like building that reel up to just create funky animations like that. It looks very cool. Yes, I might render this one out twice, or the relevant bits that say, like, you know, in here where it says J Plays, it would just then say now showing 3D Shenanigans, different cinema. Really? Yeah, Christina was saying that she had issues with Mixer. Mine seems to be, for once, mine is actually pretty solid, which is cool. No soft shadows, Captain Slaymore. Eevee, I don't think Eevee does soft shadows very well. It's faster, way faster, and it's also powered by the GPU. So it requires a GPU to work, whereas 3D Light does not require a GPU at all. It's actually it's good point. Yeah, there's no comparison whatsoever. This I like. So the whole wall is now smooth. This is slightly crooked up here, but maybe that's not that big an issue. This is nice. I like it. I like it a lot. So interior 500 Grant. Save image. Let's have a look at it, scrutinizing it side by side. We can just go and use the same document. No, totally not what I did. Totally not what I did. I dragged that onto the little folder icon. There we go. Exterior. Place embedded. Interior. Blender. Nice. Interior Grunt. Nice. All right. So, Grant versus Blender. That is quite shocking, isn't it? So, I mean, while while the little film strip thing is a little crooked in Grant's render, there's literally no more noise on the wall whatsoever. So that is very good. It's a very clean render. I like that. Whereas this is, you can still see that there's some stuff on the wall that the engine has tried to get rid of, but there was just too much noise there. Okay. Well, tell you what, my dear folks, I will render this out at 720, maybe even at 1080. I might even try 1080 with Grant's denoiser from start to finish. If this only takes 5 minutes per image, 2.5 minutes per image, then I will be able to do that, and it'll be done by tomorrow. And we will have a look at this tomorrow, and we'll pick it up tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, perhaps even with Blender 2.81. Wouldn't that be nice? Super patches. I don't have my and Fiery Gazelle. I don't have my applause board here. Otherwise, I would give you guys a round of applause. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me then for more Schnick, Schnack, and Shenanigans, and see what we've come up with so far. My friends, take care. Bye-bye.